Welcome in to Patriot Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Will Dundon, Seth Coggin, and Benny Bautista, March Madness expert, in here with you tonight. Crucial's going to be
patented expert.
Crucial will be joining us shortly, but as you expected, this is the March Madness pod for the Patriot crew. We're geared up and ready to go.
Pod of the year.
Yeah, dude. Ben, Seth, and I actually we hit downtown. The boys came into Nashville to hit some of the SEC tourney games. It was awesome. It was March.
It was March, but it was a kind of a dark Friday of sorts for the teams that the boys were supporting. Not the most victorious Friday in the world, but a lot of ball consumed nonetheless. And now we turn our page to the big dance.
Yeah.
The big dance there, boss.
Yeah, it was a little preview for the three of us to get together in Nashville, watch some of the games at Bridgestone. Had a great time despite pretty much all of our teams losing.
Yeah.
No,
Tournament basketball, things have ratcheted up just a bit, but now we present the real tournament that really matters. We want to cut down the nets at the end of this one.
Dude, and something that was crazy, and this may be something to think about just for conference tournaments in general. But like, for example, I had tickets. Wes and I, my brother, went ahead and got championship tickets for the SEC tourney just in case Tennessee did get there and we could go. And once Sunday rolled around, I could not get rid of my conference tournament tickets with was it Bama and A&M in the championship for whatever reason. And I think a lot of it, I had a buddy who also had it and even texted his Bama buddies, and some were going, obviously, so he didn't give them to them. But then there were a lot that just didn't care. Do y'all think that's somewhat of an indictment on what conference tournaments mean in this day and age? Or do you think it's more just that's an instance of Alabama fans not really caring about basketball as much?
I mean, just off the top of the bat, I think it didn't really help when Kentucky lost against Vandy, Tennessee lost. You got the major teams that pretty much went down, even Arkansas too. I guess we can consider them to be fan bases that really
that travel well.
Yeah, exactly like that. So I think that was definitely a factor. But historically in Nashville, because now the SEC tournament has returned to Nashville. It's always been a great turnout, and I think Nashville is rightfully where the Southeastern Conference needs to play their conference tournament. But in my own personal view, I don't know about you guys, but I think the conference tournament is just like a great preview and just a great test for like all of the year's hard work and all the games to kind of come to a culmination and a final ending for the conference plays. And we saw a lot of great basketball, but I'm not sure what you think, Seth.
I think Alabama fans are just garbage.
Actually, we might need to talk about that with some of the stuff we saw from Alabama fans on Twitter and everything.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna draw back that statement just a little bit. I think Alabama basketball fans are not very good basketball fans because partially I think a lot of them are really just, secondary basketball fans. Really, they're football fans that and they've been spoiled with so much success recently. Like, not caring about an SEC championship is like a luxury that Alabama has as like a athletic program, because you've been a part of so many championship games, playoff games, national championships. It's almost like championship fatigue. And it's like, oh, this is just the SEC championship. It's just versus A&M. Like, we've already won the SEC. We're kind of focused on maybe the national championship, but it just doesn't quite have the same oomph these days. Maybe that's me personally caring about the NCAA tournament, March Madness, the true. But, the first tournament season is really exciting. I think conference tournaments take a little bit of different shape when there's two varying levels of how kind of impactful they are and really how cool they are for the sport. Is like, for instance, in the SEC or, the power conferences, Big 12 and stuff, on a semifinal Saturday or on a, quarterfinal day, like we went to 4 games that featured 8 tournament teams pretty much. I want to say, except for Vandy. So 7 out of 8 tournament teams played on, this one day, which, if you look at it, that's like an eighth of the teams that are in the 64 team tournament. So that's a huge chunk of your players out there. But other leagues, like one bid conferences, it's a way different level of excitement because you're essentially already in the survive and advance tournament. You are already in the if I lose, my season's over portion of the tournament. So kind of getting to watch all of those type of finishes and endings, and that's careers ending. Like that's people's, last game ever. And it's just down to the wire, win or lose, survive or advance. And I think it's a really fun kind of, I mean, it is an appetizer for the 64 team bracket that we're probably going to walk through here in a second, but fun to get to witness in person. We had some some close friends and family and relatives, at different tournaments all over the country. It's just basketball is affecting a lot of communities this time of year. And it's fun to watch all the different styles, all the different teams. It's just a jam-packed session of good high level basketball. That's going in, that results in seasons ending.
It's just the preparation for the real madness, which is what is about to happen next.
The madness dawns upon us.
Well, that's what I got
coming, baby.
March is coming. I gotta ask. So we talked about this a little bit before, but have y'all filled out your official brackets yet?
Yeah, I have completed my bracket. It is sealed. Honestly, and this may be a testament to the fact that it's finally perfect, but just rattled it through straight. No errors, no markings, no like cross outs, like just pure straight down the barrel, match by match. And this is actually a thing I want to discuss, maybe even pose this question on top of your question, is how do you fill out your bracket? Do you go just, start at the top, do round one, start back at the top, do round two, start back? Or do you do by region? Are you kind of moving teams ahead kind of where you want them to be? Anyway, I want to hear bracket strategy from you guys, because I have mine and it's never really worked to any kind of success. Now this year it may have produced the perfect bracket. Like that's kind of the thing about bracketology. You never I don't really have a way to say which method is best.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, and I actually, Seth, you talked about not crossing out or anything, and usually I don't. Usually my bracket is pure gut. Most years I only fill out one bracket, which I feel like is probably in the minority. Every now and then I'll do 2 or 3 brackets, but usually I go straight gut. And I think it's an interesting question because I'll start round one and just go all round one. Start at the top and just do it round by round, all in a row. And then you kind of get to the point, and this is what happened. I did go back and change mine a little bit because you start filling it out. And especially when you're going with these gut picks and upsets and everything, you start thinking, and with this, we've talked about this year, it seems so wide open. You get to your Elite Eight or something, and you're like, how did I even get here? Like you went down a total rabbit hole. And so, yeah, I go round by round, pure gut, with some obvious, I have a little knowledge of just watching basketball go into it. But no, yeah, it's round by round, and it's crazy some of the ways we get there. But I definitely have some tasty upsets that I want to get into at some point. But yeah, boss man, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned like kind of the rabbit hole that you'll stumble upon, and you'll kind of get there. You're like, how did this team end up in like the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight? But if you fill it out digitally now, that because they have like the bracket challenges, you'll see it's just the first round, and then you get to like, especially on ESPN, you have to go through all the first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think typically, and this is being a 2-time bracket winner, so I know what I'm talking about. But no, jokes aside, but I typically, for me, like competitively in a bracket challenge, the way you win is from picking the winner, in most cases, and obviously there's a lot of luck that is into that. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone, but usually for me, I like picking the team that I believe is going to win it all. I think that's a good starting base for me, and then I'll kind of just go from the first round. And I don't know, some people like to work backwards from once they pick their winner and then kind of go from there. But I mean, you got to build up from the first round matchups and whatnot, because again, it is all about matchups to some degrees. you can pick the best team to see how far you think that they can go. But outside of the championship winner, I think that's about as far ahead into the future as I like to think.
Yeah, see, and I get way too excited with the upsets. That's almost what I base my bracket off of, and probably why. I swear this is I can't back this up with proof, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I'd say the past 10 years, I've been in the top 2 brackets after the first weekend every single year. For whatever reason, and I never win. So, but I'm good at picking the upsets at the beginning.
Yeah, I would like to put a true disclaimer on, and you can take this and at least listen to my explanation a little bit here before you totally, disregard what I might have to say later on. But I've come to the point in my life where if Arkansas, as an Arkansas fan, I'm filling out my bracket as an Arkansas fan at the end of the day. Like I can't escape that part of if they're in the field of 64, I'm picking Arkansas to win the national championship. Like if you're telling me my team has a chance and they're on the bracket, I can fill them out all the way. I'm not going to be the guy that does not pick Arkansas the year that they win the national championship. So if they're in the field, they're getting my pick. Now, everything else I try to, have my best, unbiased analysis and see who's going to play against them. But I just I'm not going to get it right. I've really failed to get a champion right probably in my existence in trying to pick who I think's the best team. I'm probably 0 for 25. So it was just a freeing thought last year that I kind of started and decided that if Arkansas is in the field, I'm just going to go ahead and pick them to win the tournament. Now that might change if there's truly a team where I know they have no shot, but I don't really think it is. I'm going down with the Hogs, or, rather than go down. Oh, I'm going to pick UConn to win the national championship and they're going to lose in the Sweet 16. No, I'm going to pick the Hogs. At the end of the day, I got to go with my boys. I got to go with the Hogs.
Well, and we got to welcome in our buddy Nick Truschel. So, Nick, the question that was posed to us is from Seth, how do you fill out your bracket? And I think the main premise of it is, do you go round by round? Do you pick your winner first? Like, what's your strategy going into it?
Was this question for me?
Yeah.
Okay, it cut out right before I heard Nick, and then it cut out, and then, yeah, I couldn't understand. Do you mind repeating the question?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it was basically just, how do you go about filling out your bracket? Do you go round by round? Do you pick a region and go with it? Or do you pick your winner first? Like, what's your goal when filling out the bracket? How do you go about it?
Okay, so this is coming from a perspective of someone a little different than your average sports gambler, sports enthusiast. For those of you who don't know, I was born in Las Vegas. My father was a handicapper for 20 years. I live, breathe football, basketball, baseball, everything. And if there's one thing I've learned over all these years, losing money, winning money, none of us have an edge. It takes way more work to actually get things right than we think. So if you want to have fun watching March Madness, you got to go with your gut. I think the gut is the only thing that matters in this. You can't second guess yourself. You can't analyze. You'll never have more information than the public does. So, hey, just let God do the work, man.
I like that.
It's in his hands.
It's in his hands. Use your gut instinct. That's pretty much how I do it every year. Obviously, I'm a homer. So Tennessee will probably be in the Elite Eight this year on my bracket. But really not too much goes into it, man. It's all for fun. It's all for love. It's for the love of the game.
I like the very humbling feeling of when you lose your first game. Because, for a brief, it's Monday morning. Like, I have really until Thursday and my bracket's still perfect. Like, in my head, what if I've done it this year? What if I am the 1 in 9.3 quintillion to get it right? I did it. I finally cracked the code. And then like you'll go into the first 8 versus 9 matchup and take an L, and it's just all like just immediately humbled by the madness.
Dude, you
So,
get those first 3 or 4 right though. If you ever get that far, you're
And then
really
the
killing it.
tingling in the back of your head starts happening.
at what point does it get real serious? Like once you've gotten all the way
Once
to
you're on ESPN, then it gets real serious. Once your name is being mentioned on ESPN, so and so has a 75% correct bracket so far. He needs the other 25% to get in.
that would be more epic than a bunch of like sports record milestone chases. Like this kid has a perfect bracket all the way to the Final Four. Like he's 2 games. He's on the precipice of history.
So do we think if he was, let's say he got everything right except the national title game, do you think ESPN says, screw the kid, you're not getting any money whatsoever? Like, sorry, you lost.
I feel like if you were, first of all, there would be so much notoriety around you and so much buzz going into that. You have to pick up some sponsorship deals somewhere. Someone
Some NILs.
Or you gotta go with a crazy hedge on that too. If you really don't, but like
exactly.
Somehow you can cover yourself if you make it all the way to that point.
Well,
at that point, you've probably gained a following of believers
Yeah.
who just think you are correct. Like you could just do something.
Yeah,
crazy.
actually, you could sell picks like Stu Finer's dumbass, like just all day long being a character because he won the lottery.
Yeah, and people will buy him.
boys.
They're like, this guy almost had a perfect bracket. Why would I not go with him?
Yeah,
Sounds like,
he was 99% right.
the ultimate karmic, like if maybe this is where I am as a fan of like a sports team who has had like a lot of failure and disappointment. But like the ultimate just karmic nightmare would be if you had the perfect bracket, or say one of you guys picked Tennessee to win the national championship. You had the perfect bracket all the way to the national championship game, but you had your team winning, and they lost. That was the only game you got wrong in the whole tournament, was the national championship game with like
oof.
that would just be
What a slap in the face.
Yeah, what an absolute slap in the face that would be.
I'd be close to tasting some lead later that night.
Jeez.
I cannot laugh at that, but yeah, that would be as dark as you could go.
Well, I want to get into our actual, just kind of our hot takes for the tournament. And y'all don't, if you do have a bracket or two lying around that you want to kind of have for notes, I don't know how I want to go about it. If I want to go just sleeper picks to make a deep run, or just some of your favorite upsets you see in the first round. Maybe that's what we go with first. Just talk about some games in the first round that you really like. I have a couple like Sweet 16 teams that are pretty. I have to assume not many people have. Oh, maybe Elite Eight. Wow, yeah.
I want to know what conferences you guys are feeling. Like, I think the SEC will have. I think
Yeah,
the
best conference in the country in every sport.
I've got I've actually got 4 SEC teams in my Elite Eight.
I think that's biased that we literally just watched them in person. I think that's like skewed my brain.
I think a lot of it. I have one, like I have Auburn in my Elite Eight.
Whoa.
I like that pick.
Making a crazy. Just there's a couple. That's why I say I think we got to go. I think we got to start at the beginning somewhat. Like we don't have to. Maybe we can just name some of our upsets at first, but I think we got to start at the beginning and just see where everyone's at, what we're feeling.
Let's just go kind of region. We'll go region by region and
okay.
Throw out two upset picks you got in each region.
Okay. So you want to start
we'll see what we'll probably agree on a few of them.
I like that. All right, let's start in the South.
Bama's region?
Yeah. Like for example, I feel like a team that a lot of people are hot on that I'm going to pick to win the notorious 12-5 matchup is College of Charleston over San Diego State.
I do have Charleston as well. I'm buying the hype. You know, they're kind of a hyped up double-digit seed that has had a really strong regular season. Now, will that carry them to success? I don't really know. But yeah, I got them as well.
This pains me to say, but as a Vol fan, I've known for many years how the tournament works out for us. It's never been good. Down in Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns,
Oh,
we're losing to them first round, baby. I have a bad feeling about
You just
this.
said you thought they were going to be in the Elite Eight.
See, I changed my mind.
And we just jumped regions, but that's okay.
we've gone the exact opposite route, Nick. We have chosen the two sides.
Look, I just had to get this off my chest because I had been thinking about it for a while.
I have Tennessee in the Elite
Sleepy
Eight.
Rick has been he has been showing up for too long. The Raging Cajuns know what they're doing. I think this is what gets Rick fired. So I had to get that off my chest.
See, that's where you're wrong too. Even if he loses this
Here,
game,
Seth,
he's
will you
not
grab
getting
will you grab the mic? Or get a little closer? Yeah, there you go.
Even if, like, I think you're missing the point because even if they lose that game, he's not going to get fired.
I agree.
His seat gets hot, but he's not fired.
I don't think he's fired after that, but that is the domino
Okay,
that crashes, that starts falling.
that's
the
fair.
domino effect that will kill Rick Barnes right here.
See, I have the opposite happening. I got Oral Roberts taking down the Dukies. I really like the ORU. I like the Eagles down there to fly high, beat Duke, and then match up versus Tennessee in the second round. I like that's a favorable matchup for Tennessee. I think their defense can overwhelm Oral Roberts. I got them moving on, and I mean, you know, it's to be seen. I think I got the Vols in the Elite Eight. See, I'm thinking I'm opposite you, Nick. I'm seeing Turney Rick turn the tide, take a team that's got someone kind of down and out. You're missing a point guard, but this is the year because this is madness. He's had great teams that, you know, have faltered, but I like a rematch with Purdue to send the Vols to the Elite Eight, get some revenge for a couple years back.
I would love that. I hate Purdue.
Here, let's rewind a little bit. let's
Sorry to get us off track there.
No, you're good. No, we need it. No, trust me, we'll talk about the Vols. Let's get back to let's try to take it round by round a little bit. And let's see what Boss Man, I want to hear some of your hot takes just on this first round, maybe some upsets you see or we need to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the bracket overall, I don't think there's a lot of drop off in what we've seen throughout the entire season. There's not a huge amount of drop off between maybe some of the 2, 3, 4 seeds with maybe the seeds up to 8, 9, 10, and even getting up to 12, 13, 14. Starting in like the low teens, I think Drake is a possible upset over Miami. I think that's a team that their player of the year, Tucker DeVries, about 6'7". His dad coaches them, Drake. So you kind of have a nice father-son combination that they're both veterans of the game, and I think they'll have a pretty good shot at upsetting Miami. I also think I've seen Kent State play a couple times, and the MAC conference is very good and has had historically a great tournament. And when you have a team that's either first or second in the regular season and then has a great finish to their conference tournament and winning the conference tournament, I think that has a lot of strength going into March, and they have a good point guard in Sincere Carey. And I believe they also have the defensive player of the year on Kent State as well. Can't remember his name, but they're an athletic squad. They have senior guards, shot makers, and they're going against a team in Indiana that has been shaky. They play to the level of their competition. And I think Kent State's a really good team, and they have a pretty good shot at upsetting Indiana. And then I think the other 5-12 matchup, let me scroll down a bit on my bracket. St.
VCU.
Mary's.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. So VCU against St. Mary's. St. Mary's, if for those in the audience that watched or witnessed the dud that they kind of put up against Gonzaga, who Gonzaga is playing very well, but VCU from the little birdies up in Barclays Center in Brooklyn that went to the game, they said that VCU is a really strong squad. 2 Michigan transfers in Brandon Johns and Zeb Jackson, and then they also have Ace Baldwin as an older guard that leads the way for VCU. So I think a lot of the 12 seeds have a really strong chance. I know you mentioned Oral Roberts, Seth, but we got a really strong slate of 12 seeds to have a chance to upset some of the 5 seeds.
I got another 13 in that same little quadrant to stay in the same arena. I got Iona.
Oh, yeah.
I got Iona taking down UConn. The Fighting Rick Pitino Gales from up in Iona. I'm just not going to count them out. I think they play a really strong brand of ball. They pretty much ran through their conference in both regular season and the tournament. I watched Iona play one time, and they played amazing that day, and I've just loved them ever since. So I'm with the Gales. So I got VCU a 12-13 second round matchup. See, that's why
I do as
that's
well.
What makes March so mad. Like in the second round, now all of a sudden you're playing a 13 seed again, and you're a 12 seed to get to the Sweet 16. Pretty epic. Hope some of these come to fruition. But it usually is, there's some people target, and then, the boss was saying this the other night, there's always an underdog that no one sees coming. That there's popular picks, there's kind of trendy upset picks, and then it turns out the big upset is something just totally out of the blue.
Yeah, I think to kind of go off of that, there's two kind of sides of the same coin there. I think every year there's always a team that finishes the conference tournament extremely strong. Last year, Iowa finished the Big Ten really strong. You had the Keegan Murray and Chris Murray, the 2 brothers. And then I think they lost. I had them losing the first weekend in the round of 32 last year. And of course, I was 1 game too early, and they lost to Richmond. But I think there have been multiple examples of teams that win their conference tournaments and then lose a pretty early upset game. But I think one upset to keep in mind is Colgate, who has been in the tournament multiple times in the past 5 years as a 15 seed. So I believe as a team, Colgate is shooting 38% from 3.
Ooh, Texas too.
Yeah, and they, again, the reason I kind of gave a prelude about those teams that really finished the conference strong is a team on the same vein as Tennessee that hasn't necessarily performed well with the amount of talent that they've had in when it comes around to March. Texas is a team that has historically, or in recent years, has underperformed quite a bit, and they are a talented team. They did beat Kansas. They beat TCU, a great team. I think a team like Colgate that has had tournament experience and has yet to kind of really crack the walnut of getting to the round of 32. It could be. I think that's a viable upset, and they're a dangerous 15 seed.
Experience in March just helps too, especially for those mid-majors. Like, you've been there enough, you're used to it, and it's not a daunting stage as it maybe once was. That means a lot. And I like Colgate too. I don't have them winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were one of the big. Is it a 15 seed upset? What do y'all think about? Do y'all have your brackets up?
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I have one up. I just haven't filled it out yet.
Okay. Well, for those of us that do, and Trusho, you can kind of hop in as you please.
I have some ideas.
Cool. I'm thinking maybe we just hop to the Sweet 16 and maybe read off your Sweet 16 teams just to see where we're at. And
I say we just do Elite 8.
Elite 8? All right. Let's see.
Yeah. Because that hides some of the madness you see foretold.
What about first here? Let's do this. If you have like a big, if you have somewhat of a Cinderella kind of in that Sweet 16, read that off. I'm just interested to hear some of y'all's underdog picks that maybe make a run.
Yeah,
out of
I didn't even. Okay, I'm right there with you. Montana State to the Sweet 16. The Bobcats from Montana State play a just phenomenal brand of basketball. They got great defensive guards. They're long enough. They're talented. They shoot great. They play fast. They run. Great team to watch. I think they got a really good matchup versus Kansas State. I think Kansas State is a vulnerable 3. And I think Montana State can take it to them. And then I have them beating Kentucky to get there as well. So that would just be true madness to watch my boys take down Kentucky in the second round. Woo! Ride the Montana State train all the way to the Sweet 16.
That would be sweet. No, yeah, I have Botsman, you were talking about this earlier. Kent State, I really like them, and that is solely off of what we watched in their conference championship. They just absolutely obliterated. I don't even remember who they were playing. But let's see. I have Kent State making it to the Sweet 16. Who do I have them beating? Let me see. Yeah, so I have them matching up. I have Miami beating Drake, but I have Kent State playing against Miami and upsetting them in the round of 32. And let's see. Let's see who else I have. I think I have Kent State, and then I have VCU in the Sweet 16, actually, facing off against the Hogs.
Ooh, tasty.
I like Muss in March, man. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I actually have Kent State facing Auburn.
Oh, Will,
in
you
the
just
Sweet
a little
16.
teaser on the Hogs to beat Kansas there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I don't
where
know.
your head's at, bud.
I mean, we can't get into every round. It would just take too long. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the Hogs in March, especially against Kansas, who has shown a couple times just get like clobbered by a couple teams. I don't love Kansas as a 1 seed, so I'm taking the Hogs just getting streaky. Like the Hogs have been, kind of heart attack Hogs the whole season, but
yeah,
I have them making a nice little run. But yeah, so I've got VCU and Kent State are my big dogs in the Sweet 16, and you could throw in Auburn and Arkansas in there as well as kind of big dogs.
Yeah, I think I don't have my bracket pulled up, but I think on the same vein, I really don't. I've seen Kansas play enough this season. I really don't think they're as good as last year, and I don't think they have any chance of repeating.
gotta beat Illinois.
In my opinion, whoever wins that Illinois and Arkansas game, I think that team's going to go to the Sweet 16 because both teams are long enough, big enough, skilled enough to kind of beat that Kansas team. And that Kansas team's also they don't traditionally have the same bigs that they've had in the past. I think Kansas is a very vulnerable team to bounce that first weekend. And then also, I really like what I see out of Memphis over the past several weeks. And I think they're one of the best teams that I've seen over the past month in February and in March as well, because they just beat Houston. Obviously, they didn't have Marcus Sasser yesterday in the championship game. But Kendrick Davis, who is a TCU transfer, who I actually had class with several times, oddly enough. But he's an outstanding point guard who's really been the head of the snake for Memphis. And I think Memphis has a real shot at beating Purdue. And obviously, Zach Edey is going to be a pretty dominant force and a tough person to kind of deal with. But Memphis last year gave, I believe, Gonzaga they're in a very similar situation, playing Gonzaga in the second round. And I believe we're winning at halftime and finished out. Obviously, they didn't win, but really gave a strong effort to beating the Zags in the second round there. So I think Memphis has a real shot, and I actually do like them to beat Purdue. Let's see. I think also I have UConn. In my opinion, I think UConn has a really strong chance of making it out of, I can't remember what region it is, but I know it's in the same region as TCU, Hogs, Kansas, and UCLA. I don't think I have too many unheard of seeds to make it to the Sweet 16 or any teens for that matter, to be completely honest. But
I think
there's a good chance that some of those teams do make it to the Sweet 16.
What do you think about that first game for Memphis against Florida Atlantic?
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. I usually don't like when the committee matches up those mid-major teams together. Florida Atlantic, anytime you see a team in college basketball having a 30-win season, I think that's obviously something to be heralded and praised for, but it's a tough matchup for both teams. And I think Memphis is like a 3.5-point favorite as the opener. I wish it was a different matchup, to be completely honest, for FAU. I wish they played a Power 5 team, but I can see it going either way. But Memphis has been playing extremely well, and I just don't see them losing that game if I really had to pick.
Nice. Any thoughts, Trushel?
So going through each region, naming it, because I feel like we jumped around a lot. So just my biggest dark horses are right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to confirm that I was right. All right, got it. Yeah. So I've got a few here, and some of these are going to surprise you a little bit. I might have been a little bit more willing to put my money where my mouth is on these guys. Um, so I actually have College of Charleston making it out into the Elite Eight here in the
Dang.
South Division. In the East, I'm going with Duke. I think Duke or UCLA, they are going to be the national champions, unfortunately. Coming out of the Midwest. So looking through here, my gut starts leaning towards Auburn. But look, man, these Aggies, as much as I hate to say it, I think they've got a lot of things rolling here. It could be the Aggies get sneaking in there out of the West. I'm going to Boise State. So those are going to be my four crazy teams to make it to the Elite Eight. A lot of this is gut feeling, but like I was talking about before, gut feeling is the most important feeling. So those are my four kind of dark horses to make it. I think the rest of the four are probably going to be some blue bloods get their tails spanked by some of these teams. And this tournament is just so open up for grabs that I think it's going to be madness at its finest. It's just going to be upset after upset after upset, and I can't wait to see it all.
Dude, and you mentioning Boise makes me think back to when we were talking about going down a rabbit hole when making your bracket. And I noticed this. I have some sort of Mountain West bias when it comes to March, especially in the first round. I usually pick a team like Nevada to make a run. I didn't this year, but for
They
whatever
made
reason,
what, the Elite Eight or Final Four one year?
Yeah, that was
yeah,
when Musselman was still there, actually.
Mhm.
okay, there you go. But yeah, for whatever reason, Mountain West and March just goes together for me. And I have a lot of Mountain West teams, I think, at least making it out of the first round.
It's Mountain March.
But yeah, no,
Trushel, I know you mentioned one last point. I know you mentioned Texas A&M, and we got a good look at them this weekend. And I really liked what I saw from Texas A&M, and
They
you have
played
a
a
little
poor
bit better
game.
game from.
They played
Sorry,
a
go
poor
ahead.
game, or I said they played a poor game, but wasn't obliviated. It wasn't. I don't know. They didn't just go out there and get their tails whooped all night long. They fought back hard. The coach seems to have the players rolling right now. So I think it's one of those teams that have so much hype going behind them. That locker room is in more sync than just about every other locker room in the country. And I think that plays a big reason into who wins March Madness. Talent, number one. Talent, coaching, 1A, 1B. But chemistry and locker room, just kind of cohesion
Right.
is what is going to do it for the Texas A&M Aggies.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a good formula and cohesion. I know, Will, you mentioned experience and senior leadership really goes a long way in March. Watching a lot of Big Ten games and having a Big Ten bias openly. I think Penn State, who is playing Texas A&M, is outstanding, and they're playing some of the best ball in the conference and in the country, led by Jalen Pickett, who is outstanding player. I think they start 4 senior guards, and they have three guards and Seth Lundy, Pickett, and then Andrew Funk, who really shoot the ball extremely well. If you've ever watched any Penn State games, those guys, all 3 of them have no conscience, and they play extremely well together. So I think that game's going to be outstanding. In my opinion, if I had to pick, I'd pick Penn State just based on my bias that I have. And also this weekend, I don't know if A&M kind of squeezed by Arkansas. In my opinion, if Arkansas plays a little bit better over the weekend, then I think.
Yeah, but that's future national champion Arkansas.
Exactly.
Squeezed by, so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is a good point you have there, Seth.
No, yeah, we can move on. Let's just announce if you have it, if you don't. we'll just run with it and see what y'all think about mine and Seth's. Just your Elite Eight. Run down your Elite Eight, Seth. I'll open it up to you first.
All right, I'll be quick here. So I got Virginia Baylor in the South, Tennessee Marquette in the East, Houston Texas A&M in the Midwest, with the chance to go to the Final Four in Houston, which is like just that's pretty. Obviously, A&M's right outside Houston as well, so that would be crazy. And then I have Arkansas and UCLA in the West.
All right. Yeah. We
a
definitely
dream scenario for me. I just projected my actual ideal scenario for viewing pleasure.
All right. This is where it gets funny, because running through this bracket, and I go back to this, how did I get here? There are some of these top seeds that I have in my Elite Eight that I definitely almost had losing multiple times. So I'm not even super confident in it, but there are a couple teams I really like. But I have Bama, Arizona in the South. I have Tennessee, Kansas State in the East. I really like Marquise Noel at Kansas State. And then Auburn, Texas in the Midwest, and Arkansas versus the Zags in the West.
A little rematch of last year's Sweet 16 there.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So starting from the South, I have Alabama and College of Charleston making it to the Sweet 16.
Nice.
And we're
Elite
coming
Eight.
down.
Or wait.
Yeah,
where you at?
Are we doing
just
yeah.
the 8?
So, oh, my bad. Good Lord, I'm looking at this terrible. So, going to the Elite Eight, I'm going to have Alabama and screw it. We'll go Virginia.
Are you doing this live? Are we walking through your decision making?
Yeah, because that would be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, here, skip me. I'm going through all my decision making. I'm bouncing around here. I haven't made my bracket yet. I tried to go with my gut and it's failed me miserably. So, Pay Dirt listeners, get ready for a between 85 to 100% correct bracket coming your way later this week.
We'll definitely have to post that on the account.
Yeah.
For
oh no, I'll send you my bracket. I have to do some research. I was going off some gut feelings. Once I get my research first and then start using my gut, that's when we get the pot cooking.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'll give my picks. So I believe it's the first. I don't have my bracket or my completed bracket in front of me, but in the South, I have a little bit of chalk. I have Alabama, Arizona. Down the bracket in East, I have Duke and Marquette, who I absolutely love Marquette. I think Kolek, the player of the year in the Big East, really runs the show, and I think he's one of the best passers I've seen in recent years. Just wanted to give a shout out to him. In the Midwest, I have Houston and Xavier, and then in the West to top off, I have UConn and I think it's either Gonzaga or UCLA. We'll say Gonzaga.
Yeah, because
not a whole lot of upsets going into the Elite Eight there.
There you go.
But enough. UConn would be a pretty good upset.
Yeah, I kind of flirted with Duke and Memphis, but I like what I see out of Duke right now, and I think they're putting it together.
They're definitely playing on.
I wouldn't be surprised, but again, Memphis is one of those teams that could lose in the first round, and they are good enough to make a decent run. But who knows? It's madness.
UCLA is a weird team for me too. I have them in the Sweet 16, but I had trouble picking against them at first, and then even picking them a couple times just going throughout. But UCLA is one I'm interested in, obviously. How far did they get last year? Was it last year they made a big run or the year before?
No, it was 2 years ago with Johnny Juzang.
Yeah, they had a good run when they beat Alabama as the 2 seed and then Michigan as well. So as a Michigan fan, that was kind of a gut-wrenching loss. But yeah, they were one shot away from going to the national championship.
That was crazy. The biggest shot that I'll never forget, though, is the Michigan Trey Berg from about 5 feet from behind the
against that Kansas team.
Yeah, against that Kansas team. I was downtown in spring break, and I was the only one awake. And so I saw him hit that shot. I started going screaming nuts, woke my parents up, woke my sisters up. But that's
Yeah.
one of my most ingrained basketball memories in my head.
Yeah, as a
Ooh.
Michigan fan, that was easy. I vividly remember watching that game, and I think they were down 10 with maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go.
It was
And
unreal.
yeah, that was an outstanding team that Michigan had that year. A lot of pros on that team.
That's probably one of the games that led me to my picking strategy these days of just picking the Razorbacks, because I had Kansas and that was kind of my key to winning whatever bracket I was in. And that one really hurt as just a kid who picked, a team. And kind of I had it in the bag. It's one of those games. Yeah, they were up by like 10, with a couple minutes to play. Thought I had it in the bag, but my national champion goes down by epic defeat. And I knew my friends were probably, going crazy too. So yeah, probably definitely. Like, that's back in the day when I used to be a salty. Like, nowadays I'll cheer for my buddies' teams, honestly. Like, I kind of hope they have success, but not back in the day. It's ruthless.
No.
Like, you do not want to see any kind of success. Like, Michigan or Tennessee having success is like what used to be like a true nightmare. Now I cheer for all.
No, yeah, it was every Monday morning you had to come in ready to talk that smack or just take it. Otherwise,
Yeah, at the lunch table every day.
Yeah, that didn't mold you of just taking that talk.
I wonder what Miss Phillips heard some of those rants and raves, because she turned a blind ear to a lot of bad things, especially involving the white trash cardigan boys, because her window was right next to that. Who knows?
Yeah, for the
probably got
listeners
just a
that
ton of
don't know, we all Ben, Seth, Trushell, and myself all went to high school together, so there are plenty of stories we could probably unravel. But I don't think Trushell's wrong in stating that.
Yeah, no need to get too in depth, but funny story for a later time.
But no, I think I like that little memorable March Madness moment you brought up. I think that's foreshadowing what we might have to finish off with. But first, let's go ahead and kick off. So Final Fours, I'll go ahead and kick it off, and I'll finish out my bracket here. So I've got Arizona versus Kansas State, and then Texas Gonzaga. And again, how did I get here? Texas. I'm with Benny. Like, I don't even know if they'll make it out of the first round or two, but for whatever reason, I just kept going with them as I was building my bracket. So I've actually got Arizona beating Kansas State and Texas beating Gonzaga for an Arizona Texas national championship with Arizona winning. Who wants to take it?
I'll go up next, and like I said, we're doing a little off the rip here, but first of all, I'm going West Virginia in the Final Four. Then we're going to
just off the dome. I'm gonna go West Virginia.
That's an opinion.
Yeah, that's.
Excuse me, Virginia. They were right next to each other. little misspeak there. So we've got Virginia, we've got Duke coming from that side, and then let's see here. Going off gut feeling. God, well, my bracket just broke. That's not good. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So, my final two teams making it to the NCAA tournament final game. Let's see. Okay. So I have, out of the Midwest, let's see, Houston, screw it. I think Houston, their defense is too good. The Cougars got something going on there. We'll take it. And then out of the West, got to go UCLA.
Very nice. Very nice. I got
UCLA or Duke are my two.
Oh, wait. So, yeah. So just quick. I mean, do you have your champ, or you still just working on your gut there? You got to let your gut
UCLA Duke would meet in the championship there. And honestly, because Duke would win me a lot more money, so we're riding Duke, baby. Let's go.
Wow, Duke to the ship.
Hey, that's a perfect dark horse here.
Duke cannot be a dark horse. Literally, that's not how
Duke
it
is a dark
works.
horse this year, man. Everybody's counting them out.
No, I'm calling
Travis
BS.
No,
Kelce.
Coach K.
I'm calling it right now. I'm saying that Duke, they can be an underdog or something, but they're not a dark horse.
If Travis Kelce and like Stetson Bennett, they considered themselves underdog dark horses.
There you go. Hey, fair point. Fair point. I'll allow it.
All right. Well, I got Baylor versus Marquette, with Marquette making the national championship to face off versus the winner of Arkansas and Houston, with Arkansas getting the edge over Kelvin Sampson. Shout out Houston. I am hoping they make it to beating Houston in their own city would be pretty disrespectful, which would be even better. Hogs over Marquette in the Natty. Titletown comes back to Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's a dream Cinderella story. The 8 seed Razorbacks with 2 NBA lottery picks, and they're not quite Cinderella, but I think they will make. Why not this year? Why not this year an 8 seed win it? Hasn't happened in a while, if ever. I don't think.
Hasn't it been? So it was 94, the last Arkansas national championship, right?
Correct. But they are off back-to-back Elite Eights.
Yeah. Hey,
something's going right in the program. Maybe they take it the distance this year. Who's to say?
Hey, I need 60 minutes of help brought back. That's that's true basketball right there. So hopefully Musselman integrates that a little bit into his tournament success.
I'll pass that along to Coach Muss. Why don't we? Did you say 60 minutes? Because you're just predicting quadruple overtime.
Yes, that's in fact
60. We're ready. It's 40-minute game, but we're ready to go 60, baby. Let's go,
dude. I think some of these games are going to be quite crazy. Look, you're going to hear a lot of outlandish takes from this guy right here, all tournament long. So
nice.
Benny, round us out.
Yeah, Benny, what you got?
Yeah, I wish I kind of had a little bit more upsets or maybe a Cinderella team in the Final Four. But
well, you've got all the stats.
He's got to get back in the lab.
Yeah, I do put a little bit of thought into the research.
Benny's definitely backed his picks up a lot with a lot more facts and statistics than the rest of us have. So we'll just see what he's got. So.
Yeah, we'll see how far that gets me. But
good point.
Probably not too far. But anyways, I don't remember the regions, but I do have. It's not set in stone, but I think I mentioned I have Arizona, Alabama in that first region. I think Alabama is one of the better teams that I've seen play. They've had a great weekend in the SEC tournament, so I think Alabama to the Final Four. Again, with Duke and Marquette, kind of struggle. I'm kind of at a coin flip between the two of them. I can see Duke winning that game, and again, Marquette's one of the best offensive teams that I've seen this year. And defensively, they're pretty good, and Shaka Smart has them playing pretty well. But for the sake of this, I'll say Marquette. So Alabama, Marquette, and then I have UConn in the West Division. And to round out, I have Houston. And I have Houston winning it all because I think they're the best team that I've seen this year. And again, I think a dream scenario would be kind of, has there ever been a hometown team that has won in the Final Four where they are located, and the city's the Final Four is in Houston this year? So I think that'd be awesome to see. Great defensive team, a lot of great talent on that team. Jarris Walker, potential top 10 pick in the draft this year, and then Marcus Sasser, if he makes it back, or if he has a full go this year, I think, or in this tournament, I think Houston's going to be a tough out, and they're going to be playing for that championship in their home city.
I like it. I'm going to circle back to Trucial's point about most memorable March moments. And I want to hear from y'all. And this can be good or bad, just memorable. That's what we're looking for. So go ahead and give me one, give me 2 or 3 if you got it. But yeah, I want to hear some of y'all's most memorable March moments.
I got 3 here, and some of them are hey, crazy buzzer beaters, but some were a little off the wall here. So the first one I would say is the Villanova shot. I can't remember Jenkins. Obviously hit that big shot in the national championship. Um, that was one of the craziest of all time. Kyle Guy getting fouled on the 3-point line against Auburn. That basically Auburn had that national championship bid sealed. Phantom 3-point call. I mean, growing up an Auburn fan, that was pretty devastating. Crazy things like that happen. And then for my final third one, I could go a fourth one, but it goes a little bit dark. Gordon Hayward chucking it at half court, clanking off the rim when he was at Butler. And then screw it, I'll go the fourth. It's a little dark, but Kevin Ware, unfortunate.
Ooh.
What happened, but I think every single person remembers
Yep.
what happened to Kevin Ware. Ended up transferring to Auburn. Louisville did win the national championship that season, and he played basketball again, man. So that's one of the most memorable, but just feel good stories of all time.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Kevin Ware one it actually is kind of I mean, I remember where I was when it happened. I was in my homeroom class and we were watching it on our phones and stuff. And everyone who was watching it immediately was like, did you see what just happened?
And the Ray Allen shot, I remember watching that on my dad's bed with my sisters. Just that was one of the greatest shots in NBA history. But I'm gonna steal all y'all's greatest memories. So I'll shut my trap and let you guys talk. Take the floor.
I got the Mario Chalmers shot against
Against D
Memphis.
Rose.
Yeah, because once again, I'd chosen Memphis, like was rooting hard for Memphis. Love that team. Love I mean, how could you not do? D Rose was so sick. They were so fun to watch, and they could not make free throws down the stretch. And yeah, you miss your free throws, and Mario Chalmers hit a crazy 3 for Kansas. And yeah, it was an epic game, like a truly like capturing game. I believe it was even finished in overtime. Just extraordinary game, definitely captured. And then honestly, my other memories would be just like times or memorable stuff of like being in elementary school, 3rd grade class, Miss Lytle bringing out the TV for March Madness when the Vols are on like an early Thursday. It was like my first exposure to like, oh, March Madness is bigger than like work or school or anything else. Like we're watching the Vols play in March Madness. Probably a Bruce Pearl team if I had to guess. So one of his when they were like, top a high seeded, and I remember, yeah, it was just like the Vols they were just dominating this team, this lower seed. But that was just kind of like that was like a young first like true turning memory of like, wow, this is bigger than just my normal basketball games. People are excited for this action. Or going to like a sports bar super late with my dad when Arkansas played like USC we were like a 12 seed, barely got in the tournament. Just late night action. Me and my dad going to the sports bar, watching the Hogs. I was young, we had to go there because every game wasn't, we didn't have every single game probably on our television at the time. Before every single game was broadcast nationally. Had to go get the pay-per-view at the sports bar to watch the Hogs. But all good. I mean, so many memorable moments in the tournament, and usually involve kind of who you watch them with or like where you watch them and how you enjoy them together. It is kind of the true like, oh, did you see this? Or, oh, come here, this just happened, or just kind of a communal event that we have in sports.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with a couple of mine were similar to y'all's. I'm gonna go with the Mario Chalmers that beating that Memphis team that I think hadn't lost up until that point, as well as
number 1 Tennessee, didn't they? That
year? Oh, you're right. Never mind. They had like 38 wins or something though.
I thought they beat? I think we beat number 1 Kansas and then lost the following. I can't.
We're getting mixed up. But anyway, yeah, the Mario Chalmers shot, the Kansas beating Memphis is definitely one. the Gordon Hayward, I can still see that just barely missed half court shot. And then I think my other one is kind of a string of a few, but just the March heroes that we get, the guys from the mid majors that you're never going to see again. Their legacy is purely in March. And I'm thinking of Ali Faroukmanesh at Northern Iowa sealing the deal against Kansas.
Drew Timmy.
Yeah, but just like seeing some of the, I like the little guards, especially that are just chucking up shots with funky shooting motions
Who
that
was
are
that guy from Ohio recently?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Trucial, because that was one of my
Preston, Jackson Preston.
Yeah. Jason Preston, from
Jason Preston.
past couple of years. You know, it's funny that you mentioned Ohio, Trush, and then Will, like some of the smaller guards that kind of make a name for themselves in March, but because they come from those mid majors are not really heard from again in the NBA, but they do make a career overseas. So in 2012, the first time that I remember the tournament being in Nashville, I have a couple Michigan memories, but this one, I believe it was 7th or 8th grade when Michigan was they were playing in Nashville, and I went to the game. They played Ohio.
Yeah,
and
I was
Ohio
there.
had this guard named DJ Cooper that was about 5'9", and he was a lefty.
He was a transfer from Ohio State or something, right?
What's that?
Wasn't he a transfer from Ohio State or Michigan State?
Okay, that was an. You're really making me open up my vault here. So they had a guard named I think his name was Walter Offit. So he was from Ohio State, but DJ Cooper, and they also had Clark Kellogg's son who was on Ohio too. So they made a big story out of that. But this guy DJ Cooper was outstanding, and he beat Michigan.
Too? Clark Kellogg's son.
What's that?
Did he play at Gonzaga too?
I don't remember. I know for a fact I think his name was like Nick Kellogg. He played at Ohio, but yeah, they went to the Sweet 16, so they beat Michigan, and I can't remember who they played in the second round, but they almost beat North Carolina in the second or in the Sweet 16. But on the same vein, in that same tournament, I don't know if you guys remember, have to give them a shout out. There were two 15 seeds that won that year against 2 seeds. It was Norfolk State beating Missouri, who I had winning it all. And then if you remember Florida Gulf Coast, when they beat Georgetown.
Slamma Jamma, Florida Gulf Coast.
The same year as Norfolk State.
I think I'm mixing up years, but it was, yeah, you're right. It was Lehigh beating Duke. And then,
Norfolk State.
Yeah, Norfolk State. I think that's what it was.
I'm
mixing up I think it was the following year of was it Dunk City or Lob City?
Yeah.
Lob City?
Yeah, Lob City. But yeah.
No, it was Dunk City.
Lob City was the Clippers, yeah. But that was I remember watching them. That was an awesome win. I think it's still up on YouTube. I got a couple others I'll try to rattle off quickly. And then when Michigan made the title run against Louisville in the national championship, talk about a phantom foul when Trey Burke blocked that shot on the against the backboard against Peyton Siva.
Oh yeah,
I was at that game, so I distinctly remember that one. It was in Atlanta, and then a couple other Michigan ones real quick. So the Jordan Poole shot, I remember coming back from spring break sophomore year and Jordan Poole beating Houston for that massive win. That was crazy. And then I would say my most recent memory. So I was living in New Jersey with Toe, my brother who went to Michigan. And so we were in New York watching at a Michigan bar at for the Michigan-Tennessee game. And we were talking so much smack to you guys about that game. That was, as John Bautista likes to say, that was a classy win. So that was honestly watching that in a Michigan bar and having Toe with me and watching that Michigan game, beating the chosen team from Tennessee, thinking they had a dream scenario. If you watch that game, it was, I think they won that on like that hook shot from Eli Brooks to kind of close out that game. I would have been so heated if I was one of you guys watching that.
Was that when
Just
John
wanted to bring it up though.
Missed the free throw?
No, that was way longer ago.
I was gonna say that Michigan, the John L. Stokes charge or block. On was it Howard? Jordan Morgan. Yeah. That I remember watching that in our buddy Lyndon's basement, just going absolute bonkers both ways. Yeah, because growing up, and if your teams faced off in crunch time, and Tennessee and Michigan seem to have faced off quite a few times, like for the amount of times that they, they've had their fair share of turn. Yeah, Michigan definitely has had their number in March. But yeah, that one was pretty funny, just seeing Lyndon just absolutely freak out.
Terrible call.
So Tennessee Michigan matchups are always very memorable.
I'm gonna have to give an honorable mention, and I say honorable mention because it wasn't in the tournament, but the Kimba step back in the Big East tournament, I think everyone remembers that very vividly. I can see it now in, I believe, Madison Square Garden. So
wasn't that the same year they had the 6 OT game?
I don't know. They won the Natty that year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. But yeah, guys, anything else before we close it out?
Just enjoy the madness. Just sink into it.
Yeah, it's an honor being on the show and being able to share my expertise with you guys and the audience. And it's it's great to kind of have the community behind March Madness, and it's awesome that we just kind of get to come together and watch some of these games. And I think it genuinely is wide open this year, and I think we're gonna see some of the best matchups and best games yet. So really looking forward to it this weekend and in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Benny, we appreciated having you on and having a little more logic on the show. We really don't get a lot of that, but that's not really what we're about. So it's refreshing to have it on every now and then. But anyway, for you listeners out there, we do have a special Pay Dirt event going on this weekend. We will be in Hot Springs, Arkansas for our buddy Seth's bachelor trip.
Don't reveal too much. This is gonna be live. I'm getting a GoPro on my head and just running around the casino. Gonna see what happens.
Well, I would like if the listeners have any hot tips for us, throw them our way. We might throw out a Pay Dirt parlay for the listeners to tail if they feel so inclined. But there's going to be a lot of madness going on.
Some things are absolutely cooking. It'll be St. Patrick's Day, world's shortest St. Patrick's Day parade in Hot Springs, just on top of all the other basketball and ball watching and food eating going on by the people.
Parade? Why didn't we make a Pay Dirt Sports parade? Are you kidding me?
I mean, we could probably get in there. Yeah, we could. I'm sure we could be part of it. It's 98 feet long.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, the parade.
We should wear our shirts.
Oh, I thought you were saying the float.
No, it's the whole parade. It's the world's shortest parade.
Oh yeah, we could probably enter in 6 floats into this thing. We could sponsor the whole parade.
Or myself on a go-kart. Put some Pay Dirt.
We could sponsor this whole parade. 98 feet? Are you kidding me? The Pay Dirt Classic?
They said it's super long. Like there's so many people that are part of it, but it's only 98 feet.
Interesting.
I'll have to get the owners on the horn here soon to see what I can pull together.
All
right. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and close it out, guys. Thanks again for listening. This has been Pay Dirt Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Pay Dirt Sports. Be sure to check out Six Pack Coverage at sixpackcoverage.com and at Six Pack Coverage on Instagram and Twitter. Guys, thanks again for listening. Enjoy madness, and we will see y'all next week.
Pay Dirt out.